I thought I would film a video today to give kind of my final thoughts on the respite placement that we had for a week and a half. If you see tail going by down here, that's just Norman. He's still walking back and forth. So I wanted to give my final sort of thoughts on the respite placement and what I'm thinking and feeling and how that went. And then also I have a quick sort of bittersweet update on the pre-adoptive placement that we were called about a couple weeks ago. So I will do that one at the end if you want to stick around to the end and hear that. Hi friends, my name is Anna Leonora, again cattail. Together with my husband Jason, we are foster parents in real life. I'm sorry guys, this is so distracting to me. Please, this tail is just Norman. He's asking for attention but doesn't actually want to be on camera, so you're just gonna see his tail go back and forth a bunch of times down here. I'm sorry. But together with my husband Jason, we are foster parents in real life, and here on my channel, From the Fosters, we do foster parenting life together and raise awareness for the foster care system. So if any of that interests you, please consider liking this video, subscribing to my channel down below to join my growing family here on YouTube. So friends, if you've been following along with our story, my husband and I have a current long-term placement. We call him Casper. He is about to turn 5 years old. He has been with us for the last 9 months. And he was the only foster child that we had in the last 9 months. He had a lot of needs, and there was a lot kind of going on there that we felt he needed time to be just basically an only child in our home for a while. And we've turned a lot of placements down in the time that we've had him, but we recently started feeling like he was in a better place mentally, physically, emotionally, that we could start considering taking more children in. So about 3 weeks ago, if you've been following along, we received a bunch of phone calls in a 24-hour period. We were called about a respite placement, which just means a temporary placement. These two boys already had a foster family. Their foster family had to go out of town and could not take them. So they needed somewhere for them to stay for a week and a half. It was a 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old boy. We did say yes to that placement. It could have been way worse, but it was worse than we thought it was going to be. So the 5-year-old had special needs. Our foster child has some special needs, and their special needs were not compatible. And I don't really know how else to explain that. Our foster son, Casper, has sensory seeking behaviors, including vestibular and auditory sensory seeking. So he likes loud noises. He likes to bang his toys on every surface he can find. He likes to make weird loud noises with his mouth. He likes to parrot what people say. So someone can say something to him and he'll just say it over and over and over and over again back to them. And the 5-year-old had autism, and he was very easily overstimulated by our long-term placement, by Casper. So the 5-year-old, I call him Hufflepuff. I'm going to start referring to them by their names that I call them on social media. The 5-year-old that came to us for respite is Hufflepuff. Our long-term placement is Casper. And then the 2-year-old who came with his brother for respite is Gryffindor. So Hufflepuff became very easily overstimulated by Casper, and that caused some problems. Hufflepuff started tattling a lot on Casper, like telling on him, because he knew that some of the things that we do with Casper for discipline are timeouts and time-ins, where we go sit with him in timeout. And I think he was wanting more time away from Casper, more time to himself. So he started tattling, and at first, I'll be honest, we kind of believed him because we know some of Casper's behaviors. So we were having conversations with Casper and removing him from the room. But then it became so frequent, and we knew that Casper's not at that level. So we started paying closer attention and looking out like the side of our eye when he thought we weren't watching, but we were watching, and he was tattling for things that weren't actually happening. So he was lying essentially to try to get Casper away from him. So we had to have conversations about that. And that was very difficult because We want to validate his feelings, let him know that we're hearing him. We understand he's overwhelmed and frustrated, but that it's not okay to lie about Casper and try to get Casper in trouble when Casper was not doing the things Hufflepuff was saying he was doing. So that was very frustrating and challenging and hard for us to sort of navigate. One of the other issues we ran into was both Hufflepuff and Casper have some physical aggression issues. And when they were playing well together, they played great together. They like a lot of the same things. They're very similar in age. But when they became overwhelmed and frustrated with each other, some of their arguments turned physical, and we had to intervene several times on some physical arguments. And that was challenging because we are not used to having to do that. I mean, Casper's been here by himself for 9 months, and so we can walk out of the room and let Casper play and go cook dinner or sweep the floors or start laundry or whatever. We didn't have to have eyes on Casper 24/7. And when it came to the physical aggression between Casper and Hufflepuff, we felt we couldn't leave them alone and there had to be eyes on them. So my husband and I had to take turns, you know, watching them while the other goes and does our house chores or does our own activities of daily living, feeding ourselves, bathing ourselves, and that was very challenging for us to navigate. It was exhausting and not something we were really expecting to have to deal with. So that was hard. And then there was an added layer that, sorry, Norman again. There was an added layer that Hufflepuff was very attached and protective of his brother Gryffindor, which we understand. And Casper actually did very well with Gryffindor. We weren't sure how Casper would do with a younger child because Casper's not used to being with younger children, but he actually did a lot better with Gryffindor than we were expecting. And he became very close to Gryffindor. And every morning he would wake up, immediately go to Gryffindor's crib and get a hug from Gryffindor first thing in the morning, every morning while they were here. So Hufflepuff started to have some jealousy and started trying to speak on behalf of his brother. His brother was only 2 and had a couple words, but was not very verbal. So Hufflepuff would start to say, oh, Gryffindor doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to play with you. He doesn't want to hold your hand. He doesn't like you. You know, he would say things like that that we all knew were not true, but Casper, with him not even being 5 yet, didn't have the capacity to understand that. So he just took Hufflepuff's word for it, and he started to feel sad, and it made him try to overcompensate and try to be even nicer to Gryffindor to get Gryffindor to like him. And that just made Hufflepuff more mad because he was now having jealousy issues with his brother, and it just was a lot of complicated feelings to have to navigate that we weren't used to because we've only ever had one placement at a time. We did have 2 children in the past, but they were brothers and both of them were under the age of 2, so they were both nonverbal. So we didn't have those kinds of issues with them, but they were also biological siblings. So that was new and it was challenging and it was harder than we thought it was going to be. Casper also doesn't understand where the kids went now that they're not here anymore. So we tried to explain to him over and over and over again that they have a foster family. Their foster family had just had to go out of town and now they're back. So those kids are now back with their foster family. And he doesn't understand. We're now several days after them leaving and he still asks us multiple times a day where they are. He still talks about their car seats and their bedroom and when we're going to see them again. Oh, there's Binks. I told you, my cats just love to come in when I'm filming, but he is struggling with understanding what happened, and we didn't anticipate that. We sort of thought that we had explained it to him well enough. We had a week to prepare him for it, and the whole time the children were here, we kept explaining to both him and those children that they were only with us for a week and a half and that they'd be going back to their other foster family. So we thought there was some understanding, but there just is not understanding in Casper. So he's very confused and we're definitely seeing behaviors because of that. So we have kind of decided that while I think respite is a really great thing, foster families have to stick together. We have to help each other out. And we're definitely not opposed to taking respite placements in the future. We just have to be more careful about what the respite placement is, who the children are, what their behaviors are, and who we have in our home. We probably will not take respite again unless it's a very specific situation. We don't know what that situation is yet. We don't want to say absolutely no respite, period, ever, 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 as long as we have Casper, but we will be a lot more selective with that. Now, if you want an update for the pre-adoptive placement, we actually had gotten so excited because the pre-adoptive placement we were called about 3 weeks ago was a 2-year-old little boy. And we had some concerns, obviously, with Casper, but in seeing how he interacted with the 2-year-old in this respite placement, we actually got more excited and we were really willing to say yes to this child. We did still want to meet him just to make sure that we could all click and vibe and that it would be an okay fit, because we would not ever want to have to disrupt him again. Being a pre-adoptive placement, for us to take him and then say we can't handle this or he's not the right fit for our family and have to disrupt him again, we really don't want to do that. So we still wanted to meet him, but in seeing how good Casper was with a 2-year-old, we were pretty sure we were going to say yes unless there were some pretty big red flags that it wouldn't fit with our family. And we were actually getting really excited. And I've been checking in with the social workers over the last 3 weeks because they called us for the placement. We said, we don't want to say yes right now, but it's a very probable maybe. We just want to meet the child first. And I've been checking in with them because that meeting has never happened. And over the last couple weeks, I first got, oh, we're working on some dates with the social worker to get, a meeting set up, which then turned into, oh, the social worker's out of town on vacation, so we're going to do it when they come back, which then turned into yesterday us receiving a text message that said the social worker found another pre-adoptive family for this child. And that's bittersweet because that's great that that child has found a family that will potentially be their forever family. And I'm really happy for that child and I'm really happy for that family, but I am struggling with my own feelings and emotions because my husband and I got really excited for that opportunity. And we had really strong positive feelings that that was going to work out. And then to not even have been given a chance. We never even got to meet the child. We never got to have a conversation with that child's social worker. It kind of hurt. It feels like a loss. It hurts. It feels like a loss. My husband and I had a struggle with infertility and we came to foster with the intention to adopt. And at first we only wanted to adopt from the foster care system. We only wanted children who were legally free and clear for adoption. But in going through the training and the classes, we felt that we couldn't turn a blind eye to what we had learned about the system and about what these children have been through. And we changed our application from adoption only to fostering, foster to adopt, and adoption. And so we have, and respite. We opened our license for everything because we wanted to help these children. And we had a lot of conversations and we felt we could be okay with loving a child and letting them go back to their family, reunification, kinship, whatever the system works out for that child. And we fully support reunification when it's safe to do so. And we're okay with that. But to be called and told about a potential pre-adoptive placement that we started to get our hopes up could be our forever child. And I know we should not have gotten our hopes up. And they tell you over and over again in foster parenting training not to get your hopes up because that child is not yours until the adoption paperwork is signed. And logically, I know that, but I would be lying if I didn't tell you the truth about what I'm feeling, what my husband's feeling, and what we're experiencing. And we do feel like it's a loss for us. It's not just me. My husband's upset too because we'd gotten our hopes up. And I know we're not supposed to, but I'm human, he's human. We have our own thoughts, feelings, and emotions about this, and we fully support reunification when that's the goal of the court and the care team. When it comes to Casper, reunification is still the goal for his family, and we support that. We support his parents. We have a decent relationship with his parents, and we're fully on board with that. But to be told about a placement who was pre-adoptive, which still isn't a guarantee that we would get to adopt them, but it's a better chance, we had gotten our hopes up, and we saw how great Casper was with a 2-year-old, and we just thought it was going to be such a good fit. And to just get a text message that, never mind, someone else was chosen, was hurtful. But I'm sad, and I would be lying if I told you I wasn't sad. And so for now, I think my husband and I are just going to take the time. We're back to a family of 3. We're going to try to get Casper back into his routine, get him comfortable with falling asleep again, keep working through some of the issues with him that we need to keep working on, and we'll just see what happens. But for now, it's just the 3 of us again, and that'll be the final update that I make on this respite placement that we had. Those are my final thoughts on this respite placement. Of course, if anything changes in our situation, I will update you on that. But for the time being, it is the 3 of us. It will be the 3 of us for the foreseeable future, and no pre-adoptive placement for us at this time. And I know the universe, everyone keeps telling me things will work out the way they're supposed to. God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. And I believe that, but I'm also human. And while rationally and logically I believe that and I know that, I'm still having feelings, and I need to work through those feelings, and I need to work on myself because I'm feeling very selfish right now, and I'm focusing on what I'm going through and what my husband's going through. But my husband so graciously tried to remind me last night that it's not about us. It's about the children. I just have to keep giving myself to these children, because if I focus too much on my hurt, it's going to take away from them and the experiences that they've had in their life, which are far worse than anything I'm going through. But I just want to warn people, especially if you come to fostering after a battle with infertility and you have such a strong desire to be a parent, it can be very hard, and things like this happen. And you just have to learn to get through it and deal with your own emotions while still providing the best care that you can for these children who have been through a lot in their own way. And it's a journey, it's a process, and there's a lot more highs and a lot more lows, and I know that, and I'm preparing myself for that. But this is the last update I'll do on the respite placement, because they are gone. They have been gone for several days. The last update I'll do on that particular pre-adoptive placement, since it did not work out for us. Otherwise, I'll go back to my regular, just informative videos, and if anything changes in our situation, in our home, in our placements, I will provide updates as they come. And I don't want this video to discourage anybody from becoming a foster parent, because my whole purpose is to raise awareness and try to encourage people to be a foster parent. But I do want you to go into it eyes wide open. There is more hurt that can happen than just reunification or kids going back to kinship members. You could be getting your hopes up over a pre-adoptive placement that doesn't work out. So definitely do your research, go into it eyes wide open, but remember that it's for the children and about the children and not about you. All right, friends, thanks for sticking with me through this video. As always, I do hope you go out and continue to shine your light into the world. Until next time.
I keep going to the river to pray, 'cause I need something that can wash out the pain. And I'm sleeping all these demons away, but your ghost, the ghost of you, it keeps me awake.